Hi everyone, welcome to 10 Minutes of Design with Chinedu Unfiltered. Here, we'll be talking about UX design, product strategy, products people use and how they make them feel, the latest technologies and how it is used by UX designers. All this from a professional, data-driven and personal view, which is undiluted. In this episode, I'll be talking about people and how they use products. My first question will be, why are people so important and relevant to building products? Right? This was a question I kept on asking myself while I was recording this episode because it was very, very vital to answer the question. So, hear me out. It might sound like a dumb question, but I am getting somewhere, trust me. So, why do we need to get details or pieces of information from people before we design a product that might help them based on the problem I have encountered during exploration or when I try doing something on a particular product? Why don't I just design a product, develop it, put it out there, and then people should just start using it? At first, you'll be confident enough that people will use it because the solution came from a place of dissatisfaction and pain. Quote, dissatisfaction and pain. And if I can feel a certain pain while going through a process, someone somewhere is also feeling the same pain. So you think to yourself, yes, a joyous yes, this will work. Honestly, it sounds less stressful if you ask me. Like, it sounds very, very stressful if you ask me. But think about this scenario. You go into your room, you think about a problem, draft out the plan, and then you go ahead and make it available to everyone to use. And probably after a few weeks, you'd realize that no one is using your product. It sounds like a very painful and demoralizing scenario, right? Because that's not how the real world actually works anymore. Think about all the effort you have to put into thinking about the product, the flow and the countless daydream you had, thinking about the millions you'd make when people start downloading and using the product, and countless lives you touch. You might possibly be thinking around the line of the apple of planet Mars when we eventually move to planet Mars. But honestly, I am in spirit with you on this because I can actually daydream a lot. So what am I trying to say here? People will always be relevant towards building any product. People are the entire reason why we design products. We focus in on their pain points, break down the information they have provided, extrapolate possible solutions, and find the real problems they might be facing. This is a very, very hard work and a very serious work too. As a product designer, I'm speaking from experience. So, why are people relevant towards building a sustainable product that would last for a long period of time? Number one is people are the bedrock of a product. Number two is people will mostly motivate the product owners to continue when money isn't the goal yet. Number three, people use your product so they understand where it pains them the most. Number four, their problems are not necessarily yours. Number five, people are the entire reason why your product exists. They had the need and you created the solution to resolve those needs. You can't build a product without the target audience in mind. Your target audience informs you on what to build and how to build it. This is relevant at all levels to ease your pain and frustration and to help you build a sustainable long-term product. So let's talk about some products you are aware of and used that were originally built around people and not for people. Number one is Facebook. Currently, Facebook has a bad PR, but the story of Facebook is very much how most digital products started. From identifying a problem and then creating the solution around that problem. So the story goes like this. Mark wanted to create a product for students to judge the attractiveness of their fellow students, probably for fun and out of boredom. The website violated some policies and it had to be shut down. And because of the success of Face Smash, Mark registered the name Facebook and he built a social platform for students so they could upload their pictures and enter their basic information about themselves and possibly update their daily activities on the platform. It was a big thing then. The success and popularity of Facebook quickly increased and other students from other universities decided to be a part of the platform. Now, listening to this, right, there is one thing that remained consistent. The product was built around people and it was easily adopted because of its social capability to connect people. Over time, the product changed from a student-only social product to a product that wants to connect people all over the world, and the feature kept on piling. Number 2 is Airbnb. Joey and Brian, unable to pay their rent in 2007, and at the same period, right, there was a design conference happening in San Francisco, which made it difficult for everyone coming for the design conference to book a hotel room. And the reason was the hotel rooms were all fully booked. So what happened? The duo decided to put their empty loft space to use by turning it into a lodge for that duration. The offer for those attending the design event was an air mattress to sleep on and an homemade breakfast in the morning before they left for the conference. This simple idea bettered the product most of us have probably used, which is Airbnb. Number 3, Instagram. Instagram was the talk of the town when Facebook acquired them for $1 billion in 2012. But most people have no idea the changes that occurred before Instagram became what it is. When a product isn't built around people's wants or people's needs, there's a huge tendency that you haven't filled up the vacuum yet, right? And that will be building something that won't be used and won't stand the test of time. Instagram was created to connect people around the world by publishing each individual check-in whenever they travel to somewhere new. However, the co-founder later realized that the idea was very similar to Foursquare, which would be very difficult to compete with and differentiate from after raising about $500,000 in funding. Now imagine how big Foursquare was then, and then imagine Instagram being, a startup that just got that haven't even gotten funding before they realized their product was similar to Foursquare, right? But something unique happened. This is one case where I talked about building around people. People don't want the same thing over and over again. They want new and exciting ways for their problems to be solved. Okay, so now let's continue. Instagram realized that they might be in trouble, so they had to overhaul the entire product with one particular thing that was trending in Bobbin. Bobbin was Instagram's former name before it was changed to Instagram. So this was, right, communication through photo sharing. The users on Bobbin thought it better to share their photos like crazy rather than share their locations. And with this in mind, the founders decided to go with what the users use the platform for, rather than what they initially thought the product would do. Look at it. They thought, the product would help them, would help people share location, but rather, people found another way to use that product, which is to just share their photos. And it was crazy then. It was the big deal then, sharing your photos. This is also one significance of MVPs. It is important to test how people would use your products. In my last podcast, I talked about people and emotions, and if you haven't listened to it, please do. I touched on something very important: the feedback you get when you complete usability testing on a product. And there are two ways or two options to go about it. The first option is this, right? Will you channel your effort into redesigning the product into what the users are currently using it for, right? Or number 2, will you channel your effort into trying to convince the users that the status quo is how it should be used? Now remember that this is a digital product, right? And which could take a life of its own based on how people use it. So your decisions are very, very much vital at this point. One final one is OnlyFans. Another thing that can drastically change the way a product is used is the change in leadership. Goals differ from person to person, just like I am a digital product designer who loves talking about products and people on my podcast. So is the same with another designer whose interest is solely designing digital products. CEOs can differ like that too. OnlyFans was a premium content platform that was created by Tim to connect fashion influencers and their followers for a fixed token. So you might ask, what happened and how did OnlyFans go from a platform that was designed for fashion influencers to what we currently see and remember? Tim must have seen a vacuum and he designed the product to fill that vacuum. You see, in 2018, 75% of OnlyFans was acquired by Leonid Radvinsky, which made him the majority shareholder. Leonid has a history in the adult entertainment industry. He saw beyond what Tim couldn't and how to better utilize OnlyFans in the adult industry, and it worked. OnlyFans grew from less than 500k to more than 500 million users within 5 years. Although OnlyFans is also used by other genres of people outside the adult industry, it's just something I need to point out. Tim eventually resigned as the CEO in 2021 and was replaced by Amy Gann, and since then the leadership has changed hands. People, market, and direction play an important role in how the product is used, and the story about OnlyFans is a vital one to know. So let's recap. Number 1, people are the bedrock of any product. Number 2, if you're not building for people to use your product, then you're building to fail. Number 3, change with the tide. Your users understand what makes them tick and where it hurts them the most or where it pains them the most. Always make sure you listen. Number 4, products are meant to be flexible, not rigid. Number 5, nothing is built in one day, it takes several iterations. Number 6, watch out for the data. They speak the language we might not understand by doing. I hope this has been helpful to you. Kindly tune in to my next episode. Till next time, signing out, Chinedu.